Welcome to Rock Club's record album review of the Rolling Stones' Some Girls. My name is Kevin Z, and I am a lifelong musician and music fan. I'd like to think I've gained some musical wisdom over my 50 years of listening to, performing, and studying music from among my many favorite artists. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to my Rock Club channel, as I intend to review another monumental album each week. I grew up with classic rock bands like Led Zeppelin, Boston, and Kiss, and I watched as new wave bands like Duran Duran hit big on MTV and television shows like Friday Night Videos. I witnessed the evolution of 80s alternative rock and hair metal and the rise of grunge. I'll give you my perspective on epic rock albums spanning across these years. I hope to pass along some of this knowledge to my daughters, Sky and Ava, whose playlists include tunes from my album collection and my first generation iPod right here. Also, folks at work who heard my playlists, many of them Generation Zers, for the first time, they heard some of these tunes and they commented how music has changed so much. And they're like, wow, we want to know more. So here you go. I'm reviewing artists' albums in their formatted order as they were originally intended to be listened to. So keep in mind, these are my opinions, so feel free to comment, agree, or disagree. So let's begin. Flashback to Saturday night, October 7th, 1978. And I'm sprawled out on a beanbag chair in front of this huge Zenith tube television in my downstairs family room. My normal weekend ritual included staying up late to watch Saturday Night Live. I loved that show in the day. It was hilarious with its cast of comedians that included John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, Gilda Radner, and Bill Murray, and also my favorite, the clay animated little figure, Mr. Bill. On that night, I was in for a treat, as the musical guests were the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones. The Stones performed 3 tunes off their newly released album at the time, Some Girls. They played Beast of Burden, Respectable, and Shattered. Let me just tell you, it was memorable because they were smashed, sloppy, and raunchy. Lead singer Mick Jagger, he was lit up on cocaine and his favorite whiskey, Rebel Yell. His voice was raspy and hoarse. Besides prancing around and grabbing his crotch with regularity, at one point he tongues guitarist Ron Wood right on the lips during Ron Wood's guitar solo. Keith Richards is his cool cig-smoking and stumbling self. Bassist Bill Wyman has this stoic look as he navigates his complex bass lines, and gentleman drummer Charlie Watts was holding down the fort, albeit at a faster pace than usual due to his increased heart rate. I wonder why. This was the return of the Rolling Stones that mothers warned their daughters about while watching Ed Sullivan back in the 60s. They were back in the U.S. now, on television with a vengeance, and this new smash album. Released June 9th, 1978, Some Girls is the 14th studio album released by the iconic English rock band. What stands out and makes this one of their best albums is the band's return to a more raw, stripped down, and less produced tunes on the album. It also has a great variety of musical styles and influences, including the new fad disco. Mick had been hanging out regularly at the nightclub Studio 54 in New York, and that rubbed off on him. There was also punk rock in the UK, and of course their country and hard rock influences. So the album opens with the track Miss You, penned by Mick Jagger. This is his homage to disco. Mick was spending his nights, as I mentioned, at Studio 54 in New York City, and it was this whole Saturday Night Fever scene which was going on, and that really rubbed off on him. with drummer Charlie Watts laying down the 4-on-the-floor disco beat and bassist Bill Wyman adding his walking bass line. And voila, the album's first single. It's one of many famous radio hits off the album. Great harmonica playing by Guess Sugar Blue and a sweet sax solo by Mel Collins. Track 2, side 1, When the Whip Comes Down, is a song Jagger wrote about a gay man who makes the move from LA to New York City. Maybe Mick was inspired by what he witnessed spending so much time in New York at this time. We all know Mick had scores of women and multiple kids from different wives and lovers, but did you know he was also rumored to have had an affair with David Bowie? David Bowie's ex-wife wrote in her memoirs of finding them in bed together when she popped in one night. So who knows? Sex sells, and the Stones knew this well and certainly cashed in at the bank. Track 3, side 1, is a cover of a Motown tune, Just My Imagination Running Away With Me. It was originally written for the Temptations back in 1970, and the Stones do a great job remaking it with smooth harmonies and tasty guitar licks traded off between Keith Richards and now permanently added guitarist Ron Wood. It has a fantastic chorus. It's just my imagination running away with me. Track 4, side 1, is the title track, Some Girls. It's a raunchy tale of the many women that have been involved with the Rolling Stones, the ultimate British bad boys of rock and roll. Little known fact that bassist Bill Wyman admits to sleeping with 265 different women in 1 year. Wow, and you thought Mick and Keith were the bad boys of the band. Track 5, side 1, Lies, is an up-tempo rocker. Lots of great guitar riffing between Keith Richards and Ron Wood on this rowdy jam fest. It's kind of this punk-influenced tune as well. So, side 2 opens with Faraway Eyes. Mick and Keith were huge fans of country music, and here they write one of their best in that genre. Add in Ron Wood's exceptional pedal steel guitar playing and piano parts by both Mick and Keith, and you have a memorable tune that has you singing along with that chorus. So if you're down on your luck and you can't harmonize, just find a girl with faraway eyes. Track 2, side 2, Respectable, was the third single released on the album, and another song influenced by not only Keith Richards' Chuck Berry-like riff, but the recent punk rock movement in the UK. Jagger is quoted as saying, "I think we definitely became more aggressive because of the punk thing." Great all-out jam at the end of this tune as well. Track 3, side 2, Before They Make Me Run, is the Richard Penn song. Here Keith tells a story of his life of, quote, booze and pills and powders, unquote, and his many run-ins with the law. His most recent at that time being drug charges filed against him in Toronto, Canada. Among his lyrics, quote, but I will walk before they make me run, unquote. I read Keith's biography, Life, and let me just tell you, he describes his long battle with substance abuse, and that cat truly has 9 lives. There's a joke I heard once that goes something to the effect that if there were ever a nuclear World War III, the only things left alive would be cockroaches and Keith Richards. Track 4, side 2, Beast of Burden, is one of the album's best. This Richards Penn tune was the second single released off the album, is still all over FM radio today. Richards, who had been battling drugs and the law for some years now, realized that he had left the hard work of the band to Mick Jagger, and he wrote this song for Jagger to sing. The trade-off, riffs between Richards and Woods on guitar, they're magical, and it really makes this song the beautiful blues tune that it is. And the last song on the album ends with the band fan favorite rocker Shattered, with its iconic flanger pedal guitar riff and great drum groove by the ultimate timekeeper, Charlie Watts. Mick raps about life in the Big Apple. Don't you know the crime rate's going up, 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 up? To live in this town, you must be tough, 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 tough. You got rats on the west side, bedbugs uptown. What a mess, this town's in tatters. I've been shattered, my brain's been splattered all over Manhattan. The Rolling Stones' Some Girls is the band's late 70s comeback album, selling over 6 million copies in the United States alone, with at least 3 songs still on regular rotation on FM rock radio today. It is, in my honest opinion, the band's best overall effort, and a shout out to my sister Brenda. She says it is one of her top 5 albums of all time. Thanks for tuning in, and look for more Rock Club record album reviews in the near future. Peace.